Good morning. It is 10:35 a.m. on Monday, January 17th, 2022. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. It is a holiday for me at my current workplace, and so that's why I allowed myself to sleep in. It is, of course, Martin Luther King Day. Um, I'm not here to talk about that, but I certainly will acknowledge that that's why I'm off today. Um, the reason I'm not talking about it is just because I have plans. I discussed yesterday that I wanted to kind of maybe start making some of these creativity exercises that I talked about in my, my nascent musical improv group. We talked about creativity exercises and doing things first thing in the morning, and so here I am to maybe start trying to do some of those, and I thought I'd share some of them in this video, and we'll see how that goes. Now, what I said yesterday was that I wasn't going to do that until I had actually sort of sorted out what I actually wanted to do. Spoiler warning, I didn't really figure anything out. Now, what I do have is notes from the meeting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those, which ones can easily be done here and which can't, and also just kind of we'll go for it. So, some of the things that were on that list that I'm going to be doing, but not necessarily for the video, are things like body movement, sort of physical warm up, getting the blood moving, and even on, like I could do some of these. I guess there's some related to the breath and finding sort of a default note and that sort of thing, which maybe we'll do in a moment here. But then there's also one that kind of needs music, which I can do with my keyboard, but I don't have it ready to do here on the video. I should maybe look into that. But and then some of them involve kind of just dancing to songs and that sort of thing. But I can't play music on the video, or else I'll get copyright strike. Anyway, though, past that, there's the suggestion of free writing, which can be anything. And in some respects, that's a little bit like what I do in these videos. It's just a matter of first thing in the morning kind of warming up my brain's ability to come up with things to say, and whether it's written down or whether it's spoken aloud, that's kind of a similar kind of concept. So free writing in that sense could just be if I was just sort of typing all of this instead of saying it out loud. But some of the things that I think are easy to share on here are some of the things that are a little bit like improv warm-up games. But first, we can talk about like the breath. Control of the breath is especially important if you're going to do any singing. And we're not going to do a lot of singing today, but I'm figuring it out, right? So, but just like I'm not going to go through a whole like a guided meditation breath exercise here. Although it's interesting that that exercise, the idea of slowing your breath, full inhale, like down to like filling your belly first, and then coming up until like you just can't inhale anymore, and then exhaling out and out and out and out and out until you feel like you just have to inhale again, and then you do. And that sort of thing, that sort of deep breathing control is also something that's been focused on when I'm doing the supernatural fitness, which is kind of fun. So it's just like, and so on. And so I'm kind of like half-assing it right now for the sake of the video, but obviously that's something that is a useful exercise for all sorts of things in the larger sense. And then the idea of finding your default note is the idea of taking a deep breath in, and then when you exhale, having kind of singing a note, but not trying to decide what the note should be, just letting it be whatever your body sort of wants its default note to be. So it's like that. And you can kind of do that a bunch of times. And then the idea of starting with the default note and then choosing one to go to, so it's like that. So some of these are things that I'm not going to just spend a lot of time on in these videos necessarily, and I'm already at 5 minutes on the length of this one. So figuring out how to incorporate these things with this video, we'll see how that goes. But I think the one other thing that we'll do to justify the fact that I've got my my word processor up here is that we'll play maybe a couple of rounds of 5 things on the on this. Now, the game 5 things in the group warm up is usually that you have everybody in a group, and sometimes that depending on your local style, you might have like a little chant that everyone does, like 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things. And then someone will give you a category, and then you have to say 5 things that would fit in that category, and everyone goes 1, 2, 3 as you do it. And it's a fun sort of building group energy sort of thing. But it's also something we could do, here, with the caveat that I have to pick my own category and then a list. But that's okay. And it can be really anything. So, but let's maybe do a couple rounds of that. And so what I would actually maybe this is something I could encourage you to do if you want to play along, is that when I pick a category, you can maybe pause the video and try to do your own list. Just take a moment to write down, or even just say aloud, your own 5 things that would fit that category, and then you can resume and see which ones that I came up with, and we'll see how that goes. So 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things. 5 things that you would find on a college professor's desk. So, on a college professor's desk. A globe, pens, term papers, an ink blotter, and a lamp. 5 things. All right, so that's obviously, like, some of those are more imaginative than others, but that's okay, Like, some of them don't even have to make sense. That's kind of part of the game, is that, like, sometimes you just blurt something out and you say, what? Why would that be on a college professor's desk? That's not wrong. That's not a mistake. That's in improv, sometimes we call that a gift, because if all of a sudden you're establishing a scene and you're trying to describe the things that are on this person's desk, and you say something weird that's on their desk, all of a sudden you know what the scene's about. Why do they have that weird thing on their desk? And so in this case, the ink blotter, for example, is a thing that you might have on a desk, but it's also a little bit of an old-fashioned thing. Like, are they really writing with fountain pens and stuff that they need an ink blotter? Well, maybe. And so let's do another, here, let's maybe just as a formatting thing. So we can say 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things. 5 posters you would see on a teenage boy's wall. Oh no, what did I do? On a teen boy's wall. And obviously you can share your own list separate from mine, because there are theoretically things that are, of teenage boys' taste. Okay, so a Lamborghini, Stars and Planets, Jose Canseco, Uh, Probably wouldn't still be there, but who knows? Let's see. A rocket ship. It's kind of, and of course, supermodel. 5 things. So, because I kind of just threw out the category just sort of out of nowhere. See, this is similar because when you're playing this exercise in a group, you normally don't give yourself the category, but you have to give a category to somebody. And so being able to come up with a category on the spot as well is kind of part of the whole thing. All right, so let's do one more of these for today. So, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things, 5 things. This is going to be things that you buy at a specialty grocery store. To buy at specialty grocery store. Um, Live squids. Um, Alfalfa. Uh, mm, um, Cubed meat. Exotic spices. Catering trays. 5 things. All right, so of course, the whole idea here, like I said, none of these have to be weird or funny. In fact, actually, as a general rule, when you're doing these sorts of exercises, like if you think of one that's funny, that's great. But don't force that. Like it's more about the idea of just making your brain come up with things fast, rather than rather than being like stuck. So sitting there going because you can't think of a good one is not better than just saying something even if it's ordinary. Yeah. So in any case, I think I'll leave it there for now. We're already 12 and a half minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So these exercises combined with my initial format might not be super great, but we'll see how it goes. So let me know if this was fun, if you like this, and in the meantime, I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.